Good evening, class. We recently just had an election, and even though we had a successful election, I believe that this process is a flawed process and no longer really capable of producing leadership that really serves this country in a meaningful way. And I would like to offer some reasons why I believe that's the case. Um, One of the most important reasons that I think that's the case is because we have elected leadership who really serves a corporate base. So even though they were elected by the people, they really serve a corporate agenda. One of the examples I'd like to highlight and reference is there's a commentator named Lawrence Lessig who was on the Joe Rogan show, and he was able to speak about Mitch McConnell. And Mitch McConnell is responsible for a lot of the deregulation as far as money in politics. And I think he's one of the reasons that we have a system that makes it impossible for people to achieve any power unless they have a specific corporate agenda that is favorable to corporate companies, as opposed to just working families. Um, and this is not something that's specific to the right or the left. Another example that I'd like to highlight is I was watching a program called The Young Turks. There's a commentator on there named Cenk Uygur, and 4 years ago, the head of the DNC, her name was Debbie Wasserman Schultz. There was a notorious scandal where her WikiLeaks emails were leaked, and you can see how she's working in tandem with somebody who's running for president of the United States at the time, Hillary Clinton, and they're working directly in tandem with the Democratic National Chair in order to get her elected, that's illegal as far as I know. But there was really no uprise or mandate or penalty for that, and I just think as a consequence of that, we have a public that's no longer interested or really views leadership in that way. And I think as an effect of that, we get political leadership who are just willing to promise and appeal to anybody who will support them. So I guess the main consequence of that action too is when it's time to mobilize and get the entire country to act as one, like in the time of a pandemic, that's no longer possible because we don't have elected leadership that can actually speak to the country and address the country as one. Anybody who speaks up, they immediately, it's like they just speak to one side over the other. Nobody really can hit that note that really resonates and unites the country to really act. And I just think that's a shame, and that's the consequence when we don't have clear leadership. One of the things that I think that we can do to combat this is to take a more active approach and to educate ourselves as far as who's actually running for these positions, because politicians take advantage of the fact that we're an uneducated electorate, and one of the responsibilities of a democracy is having an informed electorate that can make educated decisions that can affect themselves. You know what I mean? Because no elected leadership will really be responsible for changing. It's really the change starts within us, and better people it will resonate inward, outward, as opposed from outward, inward, even though we see it does work both directions with the current state that we've dealt with for the last 4 years. And so that's my option that I think that we can do to combat that, is just educate ourselves and attempt to be better people. Um, Thank you. That's my speech.